suffered a severe blow when Jehovah went killing their vine with a plague of hail. PS 78. 47. 105. 33. The spies who entered the promised land, a land of vines and figs and pomegranates, brought back from the torrent valley of Eshcol a cluster of grapes so large that it had to be carried on a bar between two men. 8. 8. New 13. 20, 23, 26 grape clusters from this region are commonly said to weigh 4.5 to 5.5 kilograms 10 to 12 pounds. One cluster was recorded as weighing 12 kilograms 26 pounds. Another, more than 20 kilograms 44 pounds. Besides the torrent valley of Eshcol, other grape-growing regions mentioned in the Bible are En-Gedi by the Dead Sea 1. 14, Shechem JG 9. 26, 27, Silo JG 21. 20, 21, and across the Jordan, Sibmah, Heshbon, and Elileh. Issa 16. 7-10. Jah 48. 32. Planting and care. Vineyards were often planted on hillsides. It was customary to fence or wall in vineyards. New 22. 24. PR 24. 30, 31 and also to build booths or watchtowers. Issa 1. 8. 5. 2 to protect the vineyards against thieves or animal intruders such as foxes and wild boars. PS 80. 8, 13. K2. 15. The Mosaic law allowed a passerby to eat his fill, but not to carry any off in a receptacle, for it would be thievery. D 23. 24. For convenience a winepress and a vat dug near the vineyard, since usually the bulk of the crop was crushed to make wine. Issa 5. 2. Mr. 12. 1. Sea wine and strong drink. Of course, fresh grapes were eaten in considerable quantity, and some sun-dried raisins were produced. 1 Sir 25. 18. 30. 12. 2 Sir 16. 1. 1 Ch 12. 40. Ancient vineyards were laid out in several different ways. Sometimes the vines were systematically planted in rows 2.5 meters, 8 feet or more apart in well-prepared soil. No other seeds were to be planted in a vineyard. According to the Mosaic law, the trees, such as the fig, might be planted there. D 22. 9. Lu 13. 6, 7. Sometimes the vines were allowed to grow along the ground down a hillside, with only the clusters being raised by forked sticks, but more often the vines were trained over wooden arbors or piles of stones. Pruning is necessary for production of good grapes. Jesus said that every branch not bearing fruit he takes away, and every one bearing fruit he cleans by pruning, that it may bear more fruit. Job 15. 2. The pruning of productive branches and the cutting off of fruitless o textoi acute miritra longo. Vinegar 1156 9. 27. Issa 16. 10. Jah 25. 30. Cypress. It was also a joyful time for the poor and alien residents of the land, who were permitted to glean the vineyards after the general harvest. The 19. 10. The 24. 21. The opposite was also true. When the vines had withered, or when they produced no grapes, or when the vineyards became desolate wastes of thorns, these were calamitous times of great sorrow. Issa 24. 7. 32. 10, 12, 13. Jah 8. 13. Sabbatical laws required owners to leave their vineyards uncultivated, and pruned, and unharvested every 7th year and during the Jubilee. La 25. 3-5, 11. But during those years any person's owners, slaves, aliens, the poor, as well as the animals, were welcome to eat freely of what grew by itself. X 23. 10, 11. La 25. 1-12. Illustrative and figurative use. The familiarity of the grapevine. The general knowledge people had of its cultivation and productivity as well as the vintage and the gleaning activities connected therewith. made it an object of frequent reference by Bible writers. Vineyards producing an abundance of fruitage reflected Jehovah's blessing. La 26. 5. Hagg 2. 19. Zakat 12. Mal 3. 11. PS 128. 3. The expression sitting everyone under his own vine and under his own fig tree became proverbial of peace and security. 1 Kai 4. 25. 2 Kai 18. 31. Issa 36. 16. Mik 4. 4. Zek 3. 10. Unproductive vines would be a manifestation of God's disfavor. De 28. 39. Israel was like the grapes in the wilderness, but it became like a degenerate vine. Ho 9. 10. 10. 1. Like a foreign vine producing wild grapes. Issa 5. 4. J 2. 21. A common proverbial saying in the time of Jeremiah and Ezekiel referred to the fact that unripe grapes set the teeth on edge, because of their sourness. J 31. 29, 30. As 18. 2. Attempts have been made to link the vine of Sodom with various plants found native to the Dead Sea area, but the setting of this expression in its only occurrence to 32. 32 clearly indicates a figurative use. Sodom is repeatedly used in the Bible to represent moral corruption and wickedness. Issa 1. 10. 3. 9. J 23. 14. Jesus spoke on a number of occasions about vineyards and their grapes. Mount 20. 1-16. Just 3 days before his death, he gave the illustration of the wicked cultivators. Mr. 12. 1-9. Lu 20. 9-16. See illustrations. When instituting the Lord's evening meal, Jesus used wine, the product of the vine, as a symbol of his blood of the covenant. On that final night of his earthly life, he also spoke of himself as the true vine and of his Father as the cultivator. His disciples he likened to the branches who would be either pruned so as to bear more fruit or lopped off completely. Mount 26. 27-29. Mr. 14. 24, 25. Lu 22. 18. Joe 15. 1-10. Prophetic use. When Jacob blessed Judah, there was prophetic meaning in his words. Tying his full-grown ass to a vine leg G-Phanan, the descendant of his own she-ass to a choice vine wayless so re he will certainly wash his clothing in wine and his garment in the blood of grapes. Dark red are his eyes from wine. G49. 8-12. The Hebrew word so re denotes a red vine yielding the richest or choicest fruit. Compare Issa 5. 2. J 2. 21, where the related term Sarek occurs. A few days before the sign reading "The King of the Jews" was posted above him on the torture stake. Mr. 15. 26. Jesus Christ, who was of the tribe of Judah, rode into Jerusalem on a colt, the foal of an ass, thereby being presented to Jerusalem as her king. Mount 21. 1-9. Zek 9. 9. While Jesus did not tie the colt of the she-ass to a literal vine, he did bind his kingly claims to a symbolic vine, a spiritual one, namely, God's kingdom. Compare Mount 21. 41-43. Joe 15. 1-5. In addition to this greater significance, Jacob's prophecy had a literal application in the inheritance given to the tribe of Judah in the Promised Land. This included the mountainous region, with its productive valleys and elevated O-textoi acute muritra longo, Virgin 1157 Li sodium carbonate, a reaction apparently alluded to at Proverbs 25. 20. When Jesus Christ was on earth, the Roman soldiers drank a thin, tart, or sour, wine known in Latin as acetum vinegar, or as posca, when it was diluted with water. This was likely the drink offered to Jesus Christ while he was on the torture stake. Jesus refused the sour wine drugged with myrrh or gall that was presented to him to alleviate his suffering. Mr. 15. 23. Mount 27. 34. Compare PS 69. 21. However, just before he expired, he received plain sour wine from a sponge when it was put to his mouth. Joe 19. 28-30. Lu 23. 36, 37. Vine of Sodom. See vine. Vineyard. See vine. Viperheb. F middle dot A. Sip middle dot O middle dot NI. GR. Ik middle dot DNA. A poisonous snake equipped with highly specialized fangs that can be tilted back against the roof of the mouth when they are not being used. The venom of vipers varies according to types, several of which exist in Palestine. One of the most dangerous is the sand viper Vipera amodites of the Jordan Valley. Another kind is the Palestine viper Vipera palestina. The Hebrew F.A is commonly connected with the Arabic afan, which refers to the carpet viper, a poisonous snake of the sandy Jericho plains. The potency of the viper's poison is alluded to at Job 20. 16, where Zophar speaks of the tongue of the viper as having the power to kill. Shipwrecked on the island of Malta, the Apostle Paul was collecting a bundle of sticks and laying them upon a fire when a viper came out and fastened itself on Paul's hand. However, Paul shook the venomous creature off into the fire and suffered no harm, though the people standing by expected Paul to swell up with inflammation or suddenly die. Act 28. 3-6. Illustrative use. The dangerous bite of the viper is used in an illustrative way at Proverbs 23. 32, where the wise man describes the effects of the excessive use of wine, saying, "It bites just like a serpent, and it secretes poison just like a viperheb." U.Ketsup.O.ni. Describing the wickedness that God's people Israel had come to practice, the prophet Isaiah wrote,